I'm 79 years old. I'm talking to you from a chair I've spent most of the last 20 years sitting in. Not by choice, by consequence. When I was 58, I felt something wrong inside my body, a discomfort in my gut. Not pain exactly, more like a presence, something that wasn't there before. It came and went. Some days nothing, other days a dull ache after eating. I noticed it. I'm not going to tell you I didn't notice. I noticed, and I decided it was nothing. That decision cost me my stomach, my independence, my retirement, my marriage as I knew it, almost my life. I want to tell you this story not because I want sympathy. I'm past that. I want to tell you because somewhere out there, someone is feeling something wrong right now. Something small, something they're planning to ignore. And maybe, just maybe, they'll hear an old man's voice and do what I didn't do. Go to the doctor. Tomorrow. Not next month. Tomorrow. Let me go back to who I was at 58. I was strong. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it because it mattered. It mattered too much. I had built my whole identity on being the man who didn't complain, the man who worked through pain, the man who never took a sick day. I grew up in a time when men didn't talk about their bodies. You worked. You provided. If something hurt, you ignored it. If you were tired, you pushed through. Doctors were for emergencies, broken bones, heart attacks, things you couldn't hide. Not for discomfort, not for feelings. So, when I felt that something in my gut, I did what I always did. I told myself it was nothing. Probably something I ate, probably stress, probably just getting older. I had a wife, Elena, 2 sons, both grown by then, starting their own families. I had a job I'd held for 30 years, factory supervisor. I was good at it, respected. I had plans. 5 more years of work, then retirement. Elena and I talked about it all the time. We'd travel, see places we'd only read about. Spend time with grandchildren. 5 more years. That's what I told myself. I just needed to get through 5 more years. So I ignored the discomfort. Week after week, month after month, year after year. The thing about ignoring something is that it doesn't stay the same. It grows, but it grows so slowly that you adjust. You normalize. What felt strange at first becomes your new normal. By 60, the discomfort was more frequent. I started avoiding certain foods. I told myself I was just developing sensitivities. Happens when you get older. I ate smaller meals. I stopped drinking beer because it made things worse. Small adjustments, nothing dramatic. By 62, I was losing weight. Not a lot, maybe 10 pounds over a year. Elena noticed. She said I looked tired. She said I should see someone. I told her I was fine, just stress, just aging. I'd get more rest. I didn't get more rest. I worked more, because working meant not thinking, and not thinking meant not worrying. By 65, I was in pain, real pain, not every day, but often enough. I started keeping antacids in my pocket. I'd wake up at night with burning in my chest. I'd sit in the bathroom at 3 a.m. waiting for it to pass. Elena begged me to see a doctor. She didn't beg for much in our marriage. She was patient, quiet, accepting. But this she begged for. I told her I'd go after I retired. Just a few more months. I was so close. I didn't want to start something that might complicate things. What if they found something? What if I needed treatment? What if I lost my job before I got my full pension? So I waited. I waited until my body decided to stop waiting for me. 3 months before my planned retirement, I collapsed at work. One moment I was standing on the factory floor, talking to someone about a shipment. The next moment I was on the ground and there was blood. I'll spare you the details. It was bad. They called an ambulance. At the hospital, they ran tests, scans, biopsies. The doctors spoke in calm voices, which I later learned is how they speak when the news is very bad. Stage 4 stomach cancer, metastasized, inoperable in the traditional sense. The doctor, a young woman, younger than my sons, sat across from me and explained. The tumor had been growing for years, probably a decade, maybe more. If I had come in at the first sign of discomfort, they could have caught it early. Stage 1, survivable, curable even. But I didn't come in. I came in 10 years too late. She asked me gently why I waited so long. I didn't have an answer, not a real one. I sat there, 68 years old, and I didn't have an answer. They gave me 6 months, maybe a year with aggressive treatment. Elena was there when they told me. She didn't cry, not then. She held my hand and listened and nodded. Later, at home, I heard her crying in the bathroom, the same way she cried when her mother died, the same way she cried when our first son was born premature and they didn't know if he'd survive. I had heard that cry before. I never thought I'd be the cause of it. The treatment was brutal. Chemotherapy, radiation, eventually surgery to remove what was left of my stomach. They took the whole thing. I now eat through a tube some days. Small meals, 6 times a day. Nothing like the dinners Elena used to make, the ones I rushed through because I was tired from work. I survived. Against the odds, I survived. 20 years later, I'm still here, but I'm not here the way I planned to be. Elena became my caregiver. The woman I promised to protect ended up protecting me. She learned to manage my medications, my appointments, my feeding schedule. She learned to clean wounds and change bandages. She learned to wake up at 3 a.m. when I was sick and hold a bucket and tell me it was okay. That wasn't the retirement we planned. We never traveled, not once. The trips we talked about, the beaches, the mountains, the cities we'd only seen in photographs, we never went. I was too weak, too dependent on medical equipment, too afraid of being far from a hospital. Our sons visited when they could, but they had their own lives, their own children. I watched my grandchildren grow up from this chair. They'd come for holidays, and I'd sit here while they played, too tired to join them, too proud to admit how much it hurt to watch. Elena never complained, not once in 20 years, but I saw what it cost her. I saw the vacations she turned down, the friends she stopped seeing, the life she put on hold to keep me alive. She saved me, and I ruined her retirement in return. Elena died 2 years ago. Heart attack. Quick. She was in the kitchen one moment, gone the next. I wasn't strong enough to save her. I couldn't even get out of this chair fast enough to hold her. She spent 20 years saving me, and when she needed saving, I couldn't even stand up. I think about this every day now. Not with self-pity. I'm too old for that. But with clarity. The kind of clarity you only get when there's nothing left to pretend about. I had one job, one simple job, take care of myself so I could take care of the people I loved. And I failed. Not because of bad luck, not because life was unfair, because I was stubborn, because I was proud, because I thought strength meant ignoring pain instead of facing it. One doctor's appointment, 30 minutes, maybe an hour. That's all it would have taken. In 1993, when I first felt something wrong, I could have walked into a clinic and said, "Something doesn't feel right." They would have run some tests. They would have found it early. They would have fixed it. And Elena and I would have had our retirement, our travels, our life. Instead, she got 20 years of nursing a dying man, and I got 20 years of watching her do it. I'm not telling you this so you feel sorry for me. I made my choice. I live with it. I'm telling you this because you're making the same choice right now. You, watching this. There's something you've been ignoring. Maybe it's small, a pain that comes and goes, a lump you noticed in the shower, a cough that won't quite go away, a tiredness that doesn't make sense. You've told yourself it's nothing. You've told yourself you'll deal with it later. You've told yourself you don't have time or money or energy to worry about it. You're lying to yourself, the same way I lied to myself. Your body is talking to you. It's sending signals, and you're ignoring them because you're scared of what you might find. I understand that fear. I lived that fear for 10 years, but here's what I learned. The fear of knowing is nothing compared to the reality of knowing too late. I'm 79 years old. I've outlived my prognosis by almost 20 years. Some people call that a miracle. I call it borrowed time. Every morning I wake up in this chair, in this house that's too quiet now, and I think about what could have been. Not with bitterness, just with truth. I had a life waiting for me, a good life, with the woman I loved, in the places we dreamed of, with the energy to enjoy it. I threw it away for pride, for stubbornness, for the stupid belief that real men don't go to doctors. If you're watching this and you're ignoring something, stop. Stop right now. Make the appointment. Tell someone what you've been feeling. Get the test. Face the fear. Because the worst thing they can tell you is that something is wrong. But the worst thing you can do to yourself and to everyone who loves you is wait until it's too late to fix it. I can't go back. My choice is made. My life is what it is. But you still have a choice. You still have time. Don't waste it the way I did. Elena used to say something to me near the end. She'd hold my hand and look at me with those tired eyes, eyes that had seen too many hospital rooms, too many bad nights, too many years of caregiving. And she'd say, "I'm glad you're still here." She meant it. I know she did. But I think about the version of here she could have had. The here where I was healthy, where we were traveling, where she was living her life instead of managing my survival. I took that from her, with my silence, with my stubbornness, with my refusal to admit that I needed help. I'm 79. I sit in this chair by the window and I watch the world go by. I have maybe a few years left, maybe less. But you have more. Use it better than I did. Go to the doctor. Tomorrow. Please.